everyone. I am Michelle Baker and I am the owner of Wildtree Lane, and I am here in one of our spaces inside the Painted Perch and Company here in Knoxville, Tennessee. We are located at 9715 Kingston Pike, so if you are local to the area, please stop in and see us. We carry a maker studio products as well as a number of things that we make. We are makers. We have a number of vendors inside of our shop that carry home decor items, furniture, clothing, jewelry, a number of things, so it's just a really fun place to shop. And we will also be doing workshops very soon with the maker products. We've been doing demos throughout the year, so if you want to learn more about the product and how to use it, definitely stop in and see us. We want to thank Amy Howard and A Maker Studio for allowing us to participate in this event today, and we're excited to show you what we're working on. So let's head to the project table. So for today's project, I chose to do a simple serving tray, and I thought this would be a really fun project to demonstrate a couple of techniques or a couple of things that I do with A Maker Studio's products. So we are going to use just a simple board for our tray. I've pre-stained this. I actually had this piece from another project, and I thought it would be a good size to do what I wanted to do today. A couple of wrought iron handles from Hobby Lobby, and we're going to use the Love, Love, Love stencil. I thought this would just be really good for today's theme. It has some really pretty writing and fonts, the pretty hearts at the bottom, and just a lot that we can do with the stencil for this tray, and also just keep it very, very simple. And this is something that you can really do. There's a lot of different things that you can make into a small serving tray. Things like this that you can pick up at Hobby Lobby or the craft stores look really good with embellished handles on the side and make really good trays. You can also find the rounds or wooden rounds to do these on. Just make for really, really fun projects. So we're going to use the board that's pre-stained, and we're going to use our stencil, our A Maker squeegee, and a little stencil brush. All right, we'll go ahead and open this. I love the stencil. I just think it's really really fun, and there's so many things that you could do with this if you sectioned this off. I actually used another one of these that I had, and I'd cut apart to etch these really pretty, hopefully you can see this with the light, champagne flutes that are going to go on the tray when we are done. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take this off the backer, move my handles out of the way first. So I'm going to take my stencil off of the backer, and I'm going to apply it here in the middle of my tray and get that lined up right where I want it. That is the most challenging part for me in any project, is getting my project lined up. So I think that looks about right for where I want it to land. So I'm going to burnish my stencil really well and make sure that this mesh lays down really well so that, that my chalk paste goes through the mesh. So we're just gonna give this a good rub. If you're worried when you are doing this that you might go over the sides or get a section that you don't want to get your paste on, you can use painter's tape, and you can use that on the sides, and you could also use that on your stencil as well to give yourself a barrier so that you don't make a mistake. And if you do go off the edges, if you keep some baby wipes or a wet paper towel handy while your paste is still wet, it's very simple to get off. Okay, so we're just gonna give this just a little more. Make sure that it's down really well, and Now I'm thinking that's a little off, so I'm just going to reposition that. There we go. Used to standing when I do these projects, and so sometimes my line of sight makes that look a little off, but I think that this is good. So I think this is just a really fun stencil for today's theme, with it being Galentines, whether you're making this for a special someone or just to have it at home. I love to do these trays because they're great for just decorations around the home. I have a tray on our, we have an ottoman in our living room that I'll set a tray on so that we can set our drinks on it, and I just love these little decorative trays. Okay, so we're going to use our Peace and Joy chalk art, and I gave this a good stir before we started today. Chalk paste occasionally can dry out a little bit if you leave it open when you're doing your projects. So if that happens, you can just spritz a little water and give it a good stir, and then you are good to go. Okay, so I am going to, let's see, scoop a little of this out, or a good bit up here. And I'm going to use this on this top part of my stencil. Just making sure that I get this into the mesh really well and not go over my edges. These squeegee tools are wonderful and really hardy. I like them because I think they're really easy to use and keep a good grip on. Okay, just get this in here really well. And work my paste in. So I hope everyone is having a fantastic Saturday. We are so happy to be part of this event and be able to talk about our shop and what we do. And we do a lot of these projects in the shop and do demos, and are planning on doing some workshops here soon. So like I said, if you are in the Knoxville area and local, definitely make sure to follow our page for those events. We've done, right up before Christmas, we did a lot of demos. We had a lot of fun making Christmas ornaments. Some ladies came in for some of our sip and shops, and we just had a really good time with those projects. Okay, so I have this part of the stencil just about done. Let's go ahead and just get this worked in really well. Make sure I get all of these little words. There's so much detail in this stencil, and it is just so pretty. And I think this is going to make just a really simple project with some, just something really classic and pretty when it's done. Okay. Make sure I don't miss a spot. I have a little spot up here on my E that I want to make sure I get. All right. And if you do miss a spot and you pull up your stencil, once it's dry, you can always lay it back over it, or you can pull it up as you go and just kind of check and then lay it back down to make sure that you got all the spots that you wanted to get. So I'm gonna reach up here. I know this board is a little dark, so it's kind of hard to see the gray stencil on top of it, but Yep, I missed a little spot right there. So I'm going to turn my board around and just get that really quickly here. Without going off the edge. Just got a little bit too much right there. So I'm just going to push that over. This is just such a fun thing to do. It's so therapeutic. I love playing with these stencils. Okay. I am struggling with that little edge. So these little pieces here are great to cut apart and use for those tiny little spaces or pieces that you miss. All right, so there we go. I think I got it that time. As my daughter would say, Mom, don't worry about it. It looks vintage. All right. So I'm going to pull that and voila, we have our love, love, love print on here. And what I'm gonna do is I want to add just a little heart on here since it is for Valentine's Day. And I want a small one on this stencil to go right down here underneath our words. So my paste has not dried in here yet, and so I think this is probably dry enough that on the board that I can lay this right here and put a little heart right here on the edge. And for that, since I have this out, I am just going to use my little scraper here to put that on. Use some of the paste off my squeegee here and apply that. And the other thing you can do is you can cut these stencils apart to make them smaller and easier to work with if you need. Like I said, I did that with another stencil to make the champagne flutes, and it made it just super easy to work with. And I'm going to get this little section right here. Painter's tape may have not been a bad idea for this little edge right here. And then when I'm done, I'm going to scrape off the remainder of my paste. This paste goes a long way with projects. And I'm just going to put the lid on that for a second. Wipe my hands off so I don't get this on the other part of my board. And I'm going to pull my stencil. Isn't that cute? I just love the simplicity of it and just how pretty a simple stencil can make a board. So now what I'm truly excited about is how we're going to brighten this up. So like I said, I bought these handles at Hobby Lobby, and I love their handles because they're chunkier. I just think they're unique, or just kind of give a unique look to serving trays, to furniture pieces, and to some of the projects that I've worked on. But they're dark, and obviously on a board like this, they're hard to see. So one day playing around, I just kind of discovered that if I added the paste to these pieces and kind of played around with it, that I could give these pieces a kind of vintagey look and brighten them up. And so it's something that you can do and kind of play with. And And if you don't like it, obviously it's water-based, so it washes off. And if you love it when you're done, then you can seal it if it's a high-touch area, and it will stay on. And I've done that. I've done it both ways. I've done these on pieces that are not super high traffic, high touch areas, and I didn't seal it just in case I ever decided to change the piece. And on some I have sealed because I get it to where I want it, and I know I'm not going to change it, and so I seal it and it stays. So I just kind of work this and get my paste on here on my handle, and get it kind of good and paste it up so that it stands off of this board. And you could do this with, you know, any kind of stiff brush. You could even do this with the artist brush just to get this on. And I'm going to set this down on the table so it's a little easier to work with and I don't leave my fingerprints in it. And then I'm going to take my friend the baby wipe and kind of brush off. I'm going to let that dry just a little bit. And then I'm going to go in and brush off the areas that I want to kind of come back through. So these handles have some really pretty detail in the handle, and I want that to kind of come back through. And as you can see, as the paste starts to dry, some of that is starting to already kind of come through, and it's just, it gives it just that old world kind of look. Right, so I'm gonna start kind of brushing just a little bit of this off. Not too much. Let me let that dry just a little bit more. Start with a paper towel to rub some of that off. Just a little bit here and there, and you can kind of keep working it. And on some of these, you can even mix your paste. So I've done this with the white. I've also used the metallic copper, which is one of my favorite colors in the chalk art collection. I've done Christmas ornaments that I used the metallic copper over a white chalk paint, and they came out almost rose gold. They were so pretty, and it's just a fun. Just think it's a fun technique, and it's so simple, and it just gives a totally different look to hardware. All right, so you can see some of that detail kind of popping back through. And then if you take too much off, you can just add it back. Okay, and when you pop that on your board, it really just brightens that up. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do the other one while that one is drying. And it doesn't take a lot. You know, you can just kind of dab it on. You can even use your finger to kind of blend that out. I like this little brush because it's kind of stiff and it just gets into those nooks and crannies of the handle. And this just adds and brings out the detail in these pieces. You could do this on really any kind of iron or metal piece, even some of the woods that you use. Like I said, on Christmas ornaments, it was just a fun thing to do, and just made them really pop. We did this on some old spindles that were really worse for wear, and it just made them into just some really beautiful ornaments. Okay, so let's see, I've got this on almost where I want it, and as they dry, you can go back and add some more, touch up the areas, and then when you do use a sealer over it, it just ages it a little bit more and makes it, really kind of brings it out. And as you can see, just lightening up these handles make them stand off of this board really well. Go in and just get these sides. And I hope that you all are enjoying Galentine's Day today on a Maker's Studio page. We were just really honored that we were invited to participate in this. We are makers and we enjoy all of these projects, and this collection of reusable mesh stencils and the chalk are just so much fun to work with. I love all of the products, and even on some of these boards that I've done, I've started out using the chalk art and then gone back over. I just did a piece recently where I went back over just with some detail with the inks. The rose stencil is one that I've played a lot with on these trays, and I've done a number of things. So there's just a lot of versatility, and making these trays are just a really fun project for me, and hopefully you will enjoy it too. Okay, so I'm going to put my lid back on here and just rub a little bit of this off. Start with a paper towel. This has dried a little faster on this one, and so use my baby wipe to take a little bit more of that off. And I think I might add just a touch more white to that top, right in here, to brighten that up a little bit like the other one. You can see this is something that you can definitely keep playing with to get it just where you want it. I'm trying to bring out this right here in the detail. All right, so I'm gonna just rub a little bit more of that off. There we go. And set this on my tray. And so after everything is dried, we can line this up and just simply use the drill to just do some pre-drilled holes, put our screws in, and you can touch up the screws with your chalk art, and you can seal them. Since this is a tray, you probably would want to seal them just because you'll be handling the handles, but once they're dry, as long as they don't get wet, they are fine. And as you can see, we just have a really simple, pretty serving tray, and it is perfect for champagne flutes and your chocolates or whatever you may be serving for Valentine's or Galentine's Day. And I hope you enjoyed this project. Again, thank you to Amy Howard and A Maker Studio for allowing us to participate in today's event, and I hope you guys have a great day.